Each summer, the U.S. Coast Guard is busy rescuing people on the water. This year, the 5th District, which includes Hampton Roads, is seeing more fake calls. Then at your side's Lex Gray has more on hoax calls that could cost more than money.
Yeah, Tom, and that's what the Coast Guard really wants to get across, that these kinds of fake calls could cost lives. Every time someone calls for help, the Coast Guard has to respond, whether the call is a prank or not. And this year, the number of those fake calls in our area has more than doubled over last year.
Mayday, mayday, mayday.
Every time the Coast Guard hears that kind of call, they move fast.
If there is a life at risk out in the water, we want to save them. We are a life-saving organization. That is exactly what we do.
But Captain Kevin Carroll says too many times there's no life to save because the call's a fake.
It's incredibly frustrating for the team because we approach every distress call that we receive as if one of our own family members' lives was at risk.
That's true of calls like this from Annapolis in April.
Mayday, mayday, mayday.
It's not obvious that one's a hoax, as Coast Guard officials believe, and even when it is fairly obvious, they still start searching.
If they sound like they're laughing, if they sound like they're inebriated, if the call was clearly from over land, those are things that we factor in, but we still have to respond.
Those types of calls frustrate Carroll on a few levels.
It's completely illogical, it costs the taxpayers money, but most importantly, it put lives at risk.
That includes the lives of Coast Guard crews who search even in dangerous conditions. And someday, it could be you.
Those assets are now searching down a call that doesn't exist. So if a legitimate call comes in, if someone's life is really at risk, we will not likely be available.
Coast Guard officials say they aggressively prosecute these cases. If they catch you and you're found guilty, you could have to repay search costs. In some cases, that's up to the hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you have information that can help the Coast Guard solve any cases, look for their phone number that's posted on wavy.com. I'm Lex Gray, 10 on your side.